by Syed. Then Grand Arch. Wise Dan comes down the outside. The leader coming to the 8th pole. Here's Syed alongside of Silvermax. Grand Arch. Seek again diving to the rail. Keigan coming late. Wise Dan far outside. Wise Dan coming after Syed and Grand Arch. Wise Dan gets his head in front. The first $1 million race in Keeneland history. The Shadwell Turf Mile to Wise Dan with a breathtaking stretch rally.
One of the best turf milers to ever grace this great game of ours, Wise Dan. If you haven't heard the news, and I'm sure you have if you're watching this program on a Wednesday or a Thursday
I would think so.
Wise Dan retired earlier this year. Came up, or earlier this week, I should say, as Charles Lopresti found some swelling in the ankle. He had a tear in one of his tendons, and that's it. I mean, he'd have to be returning at the age of 9. He hadn't raced in a year as is. It was time to turn him out, and they were very careful bringing him back. But Kurt, as we look at his resume, I mean, just a brilliant, brilliant animal.
No thirds. I didn't realize that, Mike.
That's pretty
that's pretty interesting for 31 career starts, 23 wins, 2 runner-up efforts, 11 Grade 1 wins. And yeah, you're right. If you're watching this show, 11 a.m. Pacific time on a Thursday morning, don't know Wise Dan retired, you've got some issues.
Yeah, seriously, I don't know where you've been.
You got some issues.
He retired because of that filling in his tendon, a 2-time winner of the Woodbine Mile, 2-time winner of the Breeders' Cup Mile. It's funny because he came right on the heels of Goldakova, who had won 3 consecutive miles, and she is as brilliant a turf mile as we've ever seen. Would have liked to seen those two match up in the prime of their careers, going head-to-head.
Can I throw a third one in there?
Yeah.
Like a 3-horse race? How about Lure? How about those 3 going in a mile turf race? There's something about turf milers, Mike, that they have that brilliant turn of foot and that class.
Yeah.
And those are 3 that stand out over the last 25, 30 years.
I'm personally bummed I'm not going to see him race again. I thought at age 8 he was probably, if he had made it back to the races, probably still the best turf miler in the world.
You know, one of his most memorable races for me, it wasn't one of his biggest wins, but I think because of the conditions, that night race at Churchill and the downpour when he was along the hedge trying to find room and it was pouring rain. They could have very easily scratched him and nobody would have said anything. And they hung in there and ran him and he won anyway under some very adverse conditions. But that's what great horses do. They overcome trips and conditions and weather and everything
I don't
else.
think we are remiss for calling him great, a 2-time horse of the year.
I almost
caught
caught myself because I'm the biggest proponent of any sport, especially horse racing. The term great, way overused.
Yeah.